Yes, we are live. So good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Today's session is on business value of migrating to cloud. Uh, this is a session presented by Techjockey, PayU, as well as Microsoft. So PayU and Techjockey have come together to help SMBs with the right set of credit and technology interventions to build a greater, stronger, and more resilient SMB in India in the new normal. TechJockey is an online marketplace where IT buyers choose, compare, buy the right technology at the right price. Tech, TechJockey helps businesses adopt the best technologies to maximize their sales and grow in the competitive market. They are on a journey to empower small and big businesses, enterprises, startups, SMEs, MSMEs, corporates, individuals across the nation by fulfilling their IT needs. Without further delay, over to Sudeep Nayak from PayU to take over the session. Thank you so much, Sudeep, Aditee, and Ranjit for being here with us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Manasa. And welcome to this session that's part of our SMB month series of events. We're hosting this to support and empower SMBs, startups, and businesses that are involved with PayU or otherwise. My name is Sudeep, and in my capacity as VP Engineering at PayU, I look at solving hard behind-the-scenes problems in engineering and product for payments at PayU. In today's session, we have with us two eminent panelists, Ms. Aditee Rele, Director ISV Solutions and Strategic Partnerships, and Mr. Ranjit Singh, Head Cloud Practice, SISL Techjockey. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Aditee Rele and
Aditee is fine.
Ms. Aditee and Ranjit for making the time for this discussion. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion on business value of migrating to cloud. So we have all heard about cloud computing and related technologies that are transforming the spheres of business, society, government, and economy. In recent years, businesses have increasingly turned to cloud migration to improve elasticity, efficiency, and innovation. If there's one thing that we all learned during this lockdown, it's the significance of being digitally connected. The COVID-19 pandemic changed how SMBs look at payments and digital solutions. Becoming cloud first is now recognized as key to surviving in an era of socially distant remote work, online commerce, and a more challenging business environment. I'm sure many of you attending this session have this opportunity in your business for migrating to cloud, and we hope that our perspectives and experiences can help you in some way. Over the next 60 minutes, we'll explore some interesting areas with our eminent panelists. The demand for cloud adoption by SMBs, how ISVs are catering to this demand, the characteristics and differentiators of cloud that make it attractive, and how cloud is helping companies in international expansion. Let's start with the first question. And Ranjit, maybe let me put this up to you, since you represent Techjockey, which is the largest IT e-commerce marketplace for business IT solutions and the preferred MSP for multiple software publishers such as Azure. So, Ranjit, can you tell us a little about how ISVs are catering to this new demand for business continuity?
Sure. I mean, first of all, thank you so much, Aditee and Sudeep. So yes, I mean, see, it is a well-established fact that the Indian SMB sector is a major growth driver of Indian economy, and is obviously the backbone of national economic structure, right? So India has over 80 million plus SMBs that continue roughly 40. I mean that contribute roughly about 40% of GDP, and despite it's already a massive size, right? The SMB sector vast growth potential has not been tapped yet. However, one cannot deny the impact that COVID-19, I mean, this pandemic era, which we are calling it, right, across business and SMB sector was hit pretty hard as well, right? So now digitalization is no longer an option for SMB. Rather, it is a matter of survival. The pandemic has drastically accelerated the move of digital first or digital era, you can say, right, to ensure business continuity and resiliency. Supply chain management, employee engagement, and working capital management will be the focus area, which obviously will require greater use of technology. most small businesses have realized that going digital is the only way going forward, right? And I was recently reading a report of one of my peer that highlighted that cloud is now a foundational pillar of digitalization. And I was going through a very good read of Foster and Carter that says that the investment in India, the 16% of that investment is on SMB, and followed by 13% in security, and 12% of upgrade of their IT infra. So the focus has also increased on customer experience, video conferencing, AI, AI, ISVs. We all are seeing that ISVs are building SMB for solution on cloud that comes on enterprise grade features. So you rightly said that for SMBs and ISVs, adopting cloud is the way forward. Yeah.
Very interesting points in that. Aditee, do you want to add your perspective on this more from a global point of view, in context of how do you describe the demand for digital adoption and acceleration by ISVs and SMBs in your other international markets, especially with reference to cloud migration from both an ISV and SMB point of view?
Yeah, I think Ranjit made a very relevant point, and I want to stress on that again because it should not be lost. Digital transformation is literally like a survival strategy for SMBs. This is not an India phenomenon. This is not a developing market phenomenon. This is what we see as a trend across multiple countries, and there's a reason for that. Traditionally, we've first of all, digital transformation did not happen just because the pandemic happened, right? It was always in the making. It's just that it got accelerated significantly. The problems with acceleration are as follows. There are many people, there are many leaders who actually like to figure out, some of them are first movers. They're the first people to get onto the market, try out technologies, try out trends. But a large set of people are people who are waiting to see what will happen and then make the move to some of these new technologies. And that's where the problem was. These people did not get the time to really sit back and look at the test results of what others are doing and then make their decisions, because COVID came in and they had to make those decisions really quickly. Now, a lot of surveys are being run, but there are two decision points that are super critical, and it's sort of embedded in my mind when we talk about digital transformation, and everybody should know that. Every C-level is saying that digital transformation is the next lever for growth. We know that, no big deal about it. But the second data point is that if we don't transform in the next year or two, we will become irrelevant. That irrelevancy, it's not about slowdown of the business, it's about the irrelevancy that people are really worried about. Now, what are the things that are causing this irrelevancy? First, there are disruptors in the market, the unicorns, the startups, etc., who are really, really building very new age solutions that are giving a tough time to traditional small and medium businesses and also enterprises to a certain extent. The second reason is, if you don't have agility to transform at the speed that is expected of you, right, you're going to be in trouble. So what is if you just look at some trends that are happening, what is it that our small and medium businesses really need in today's world? First is the ability to quickly engage remote environments for their employees, for their customers, and for their vendors. How quickly are they able to transform their entire setup to people working from home? Forget corporation banks, which are small banks or NBFCs, even large banks for the longest time did not allow you to take your laptops back home. In IT companies like Wipro, Infosys, for the longest time, your USB drives were, locked, and you could not put an external drive there. And those kind of restrictive environments won't work here. Right. So the first thing is, how do you enable remote access to all of your ecosystem, customers, employees, vendors, etc., to work together? Now, the second thing that follows that is that how can I create agile business processes so that they can change depending on the demands of the industry? That is a trend we are definitely seeing affecting SMBs big time, right? Today, we have the ability to go and negotiate with your supplier in person. If you can't do that, what are the skills you need to build within your team to negotiate remotely? The third thing is, how do you then take these two components about making collaboration possible and then making business processes possible and put a layer of security compliance around it? Because look, I have somebody else working in the house who's probably not working for the same company that I am. How do you ensure that I am not inadvertently also during the discussion, not leaking that information to somebody else who can use it to their advantage? So building that security layer, building that compliance, making sure that regulatory issues are taken care of is all an extremely important part. Now, if you just look at these three things, sit back and say, hey, how difficult or easy is it to make it happen? For an SMB, extremely difficult because their entire mindset has to now change from non-paper to tech, tech to infra, and infra to cloud infra. That acceleration has been super fast for SMBs, and that is what is today's challenge. And everything that we are trying to do is, I mean, when we were doing this session, I put a post on LinkedIn saying, reason this session is so important is because we genuinely believe that SMBs are the lever of growth for our country's economy. And if we cannot sit here and help them fuel that growth or adopt technologies that will reimagine how they do their business, it's going to be tough. So I'll stop there, Sudeep. Sorry, a little long-winded, but I just want to make sure that Ranjit's point is not lost. It's a survival strategy.
Very, very interesting points, and that the fact that it's extremely difficult from paper to tech to cloud first, and still, it's imperative that there is a transformation. Ranjit, a question to you: Why are so many businesses migrating to cloud? What do you see as the driver today?
Yeah. So see, as I earlier said, that now it is not their choice. I mean, these days. Now, I mean, this is what they need to go for cloud for their survival, right? See, I mean, we are seeing a pandemic area these days, right? Era these days. Each and every offices have been closed, right? People are working from their home, right? So what if, for example, a CA firm who is having 10 odd employees sitting out of his office and doing working on tele for their clients, right? Now they've got no option. They need to go for a cloud. As they cannot go back to their office and resume the work, right? So they need to go for cloud so that they can sit at home, they can work for their clients, and they can earn their bread and butter, right? Another example, a very good example, is why cloud. I mean, many clients do come to me. They said, why cloud? I mean, so why cloud? Now no one wants to put their money as a capex. Everybody wants to save their money. Why cloud? First answer is no more capex. They need to go for opex now. The beauty of hybrid cloud, the beauty of Azure is, see, they need to pay whatever they are using, a pay as you go model, right? Third is, they can on a fly, they can increase or decrease whatever compute or other stuff they are using, right? For example, I'm a HRMS company. On 28th to 31st, I mean, my users came to my portal and they use my app. So for these 3 days, those last 3 days, my consumption becomes 4x. So why just for 3 days, when my consumption is 4x, I need to put I need to pay for all 31 days. So what I mean, why I'm on cloud? I need to pay for only 4x for 3 days. Rest 28 days I need to pay a minimum bill. Security, as Aditee said, I mean, gone were the days when people were thinking a lot about security. I mean, cloud is no more secure. So, a very good example which we do. I mean, while talking to many, big or small customers, what we said is, कि सर आप अपना आप अपना जो why you are using banks, आप अपना पैसा और अपना गोल्ड बैंक्स में क्यों रखते हो, right? So I mean, while you can always put two bodyguards at your home, और आप अपने बक्से में अपना सोना है अपना पैसा रख सकते हो, right? So cloud is, again, I mean, data is gold these days, and I mean cloud is to save that data on cloud is the only option.
Great. Yep. While some of these are a part of cloud offerings, Aditee, what are some brilliant ways of using cloud computing for business in your experience? To what extent has adoption of cloud influenced the evolution of business models?
Yeah, thanks, Sudeep. I like to get into the tech part of the conversation really quickly because that's where the promise of the cloud really is. See, fundamentally, if you look at it, right, what does cloud give you? Yes, there's this whole thing about infinite scale. Yes, you kind of save your cost and you're doing this OPEX and CAPEX, and it's like if you have a wedding in the house, you will just rent out a bunch of the place and the chairs and whatever, right? You won't buy it and keep it to yourself. So that's a good example to think about why cloud. But if you fundamentally think about what is the real value of cloud, and I say this because we and all the OEMs, all the cloud providers started out this journey saying, look, we're going to give you infrastructure with a really, really lower TCO and things like that, and over time you will be able to reduce cost. And over time, those 3-4 years down the line, our CIOs did come back and say, hey, you said you're going to help us significantly reduce cost. What happened? We're still using infrastructure. We're not really seeing significant reduction in cost that you promised to us. So, was it just a promise to move us to the cloud, or is this real? And I like to go back and say that, okay, now what is the real value that cloud brings to the table for you, right? So first of all, when you're on the cloud, you're able to leverage unmatched innovation. Earlier, what would happen is I would put up something, let's say I built a application using .NET 3.5, just for the sake of argument. I know this is like about 20 years back, but I'm still taking that as an example, right? And then as a platform company, we realized, look, there is a whole bunch of things happening from maybe session management, memory management that we didn't do very well in 3.5. So let's move to 4 and then to 4.5 and so on and so forth. What is happening to your customers here? Every time they build an application, they have to innovate, right? They have to migrate it to the newer platform and so on and so forth. With cloud, that is not a problem because once you build something, your cloud is automatically, engineering is putting in new services that you've already used in our services in your application. They are improving performance behind the scene. They are giving you additional features behind the scene for you to leverage. So the innovation that you can get in cloud is absolutely unmatched. You cannot get this on-prem. To give you a good example, right? AI is one of the most talked of things, and I personally believe that AI in the SMB world is super important from automation, from an intelligence, from a prescriptive prescriptive analytics and predictive analytics kind of perspective. So super important to bring AI into your business intelligence. Now, if you were to do this on your own, you'd probably have to put in a whole bunch of compute and also a whole bunch of learning behind that compute for which you don't have the data. But when you rely on the cloud, when you rely on a provider like an Azure or any of the other cloud providers, they've got the data, they've got the compute capacity. All you're leveraging is an API to build your intelligence on top of it. Significant change. The other critical aspect, and I'll talk about these two elements and then go into what my mind cloud really brings to the table. The other critical aspect, I'll go back to security and compliance, right? Today, we don't have data protection regulatory in the country. Tomorrow, and the DPR is in progress, it's undergoing reviews with MATI. Tomorrow, when the laws come into play, and if they are as stringent as what we're seeing in Europe or we're seeing in Brazil, what are our enterprises going to do? Imagine the amount of rework they will have to do for their own applications to make sure they're compliant with the data privacy law. Here, we're saying that here is a platform that is always compliant to any regulatory standards that come out. Because, we, at least at Microsoft, we have a team whose day job is to make sure that Azure is compliant, Azure is secure, Azure has regulatory clearances. And if you look at it, there are some 95 odd certifications that we have across various verticals, various industry bodies. People's day job to do that. Can we afford to put that in an enterprise or an SMB today? No, we can't, right? Because resources are just too expensive to do that in that case. So if you look at these two pillars, right? Innovation and then security. Now you come to your real question. What is the value of cloud? So I like to think of it in multiple dimensions. First, infrastructure moving to a concept that we call as microservices, right? The ability to use compute only when you need it. A good example is as follows. On an e-commerce website, everybody shops. You, me, Ranjit, everybody shops. But only I check out. Some people just abandon their carts. So do you want to use the same compute for the checking out piece as you would for filling the cart piece? Probably not. If you just separate the two into two separate services, you might be able to use your compute in a much better way, right? So the whole concept of microservices and containers actually points to that. The second thing is, I've already given you the AI example, so I won't elaborate on that. The fact that you can actually build artificial intelligence and data analytics and move from a diagnostic and descriptive model to prescriptive and predictive, and I'll explain that in what I mean. Today, we're able to say what happened to my data, and then it is up to you to decide what I should do further. We're moving to a model which says, depending on your trend, this is what might happen to your data. That is predictive analytics. But we're taking a step further and saying, we also want to tell you what you should do to fix so that this trend doesn't continue. And that is prescriptive analytics. Now, this requires significant amount of machine learning and compute capacity that as any enterprise business, small, medium, large, you would not be able to provision on your own, and therefore cloud comes into the play. Then you think of these three things: microservices, containers, AI, and security. The underlying story out here is around DevOps, right? If you're able, I was giving an example to somebody this morning. One of my partners, one of the ISVs that I work with, to provision 30 customers, to cater to 30 customers, they provisioned 90 instances. That is, just not the right way to do this. So if you are an agile enterprise, an agile business, and if you take that step upfront to say, we need to be able to ensure that I can scale infinitely and also maintain manageability and operational efficiency with my with very lower technical debt, then I'm running a very successful IT function, whether it's a business, as in an SME business, or whether it's a startup, or whether it's an IC. So I think this is really the promise of the cloud, going beyond infrastructure, leveraging the innovation that we bring to the table, making sure you're always compliant, and making sure that your technical debt is at the minimum. So I'll stop there, Sudeep, if that makes sense.
Sure. Aditee, an interesting point you also mentioned was on security risk and all of that. What are some concerns around risk, security, regulatory operations for businesses that are contemplating transformation to the cloud? And are they valid? How is Azure overcoming these challenges? And I've seen this happening, especially in the ecosystem of payments. But I know this is with the rapidly evolving ecosystem, there is always going to be a concern around these areas. If you could throw some light on that.
Yeah, sure. So with security, it's very interesting, right? No concern is an invalid concern. Every concern is a valid concern. So to give you an example, when we initially started having discussions with banks on movement to the cloud, the first reservation was not happening. It's not my data center. I cannot control it. Not happening. All right. The next concern they said, and then of course we went through the whole discussion around, how they're not really that secure. So to give you an example, right, about security again, I think we, as a cloud provider, we get signals from every deployment of our infrastructure across the globe. including modern workplace and including WizApp. So every application that is deployed on the cloud, we get signals from a threat perspective. I don't remember the exact statistics, but I think we get about 1 trillion feeds every month, which we then triangulate to say what is exactly going wrong, right? Now, the first discussion point with our customers is, are you getting threat signals at all? You're saying your infrastructure is secure, but are you getting threat signals at all? We have had cases where a Trojan has been sitting inside an infrastructure for as long as 6 months, and then it activates itself and goes through, all the demand gen and whatever happens with all the PTAs and what have you, right? The fundamental need to understand is this, that with a cloud provider, you will always be on top of your security risks. So yes, you might have concerns about, hey, is my infrastructure secure? The question to ask yourself is it more secure than the cloud? Right? Because the cloud will always be more secure than you. All right, now we've addressed the security question. The second thing is around regulatory compliance, around being in the region and adhering to government laws. So what we did was, the first thing when we decided to build data centers in India, we worked with MeitY to help MeitY understand what is the regulatory and compliance requirement that Azure brings to the table. And we were the first, Azure was the first cloud to be certified by MeitY for regulatory compliance. What it basically meant was this, that because you have a data center in India, your data will always reside in the boundaries of the country, and therefore your regulatory authorities will have control over it. Now, does that mean that they can just, somebody from MeitY or somebody from any of the regulatory bodies can just get up and say, hey, I want to see your data center? No. We have a full-blown secure process in terms of who gets access to our data centers. And while we've said that, we have data centers in so-and-so region, we don't publicly say which city or which location exactly those data centers are, right? So these things also, once the customers started understanding, it was from a security perspective, from a regulatory and compliance needs perspective, the conversation started getting easier. Having said that, every organization has their own risk assessment and compliance assessment within processes within the organization, which the CISO runs. So getting your CISO aligned, the Chief Information Security Officer, aligned to why cloud is important, what is cloud native, and how does the entire security paradigm flow is super critical. And I think most of our times we do spend cycles in doing that.
Right. So what I'm fundamentally hearing is that it's adopting cloud actually solves a lot of these problems, and there's no worry for cloud adoption on when it comes to these aspects. In fact, it helps businesses focus on their core capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Ranjit, if you could throw some light on what is the role of a MSP such as Techjockey towards helping enterprises and ISVs be more cloud-centric in their approach?
Ranjit, you're on mute.
Ranjit, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. So very, very valid point, Sudeep here. So, as we are seeing a very rapid changing market conditions, every day we are seeing a new technology comes in, right? So SMBs, what I think is SMBs should work with the right set of industry partner. Obviously, to ensure that they can maximize their technology investment and thrive in their digitalization journey. So gone were the days when SMBs think about their product, about their investments, then about their technology, then about their security, then about their hosting, right? So now what we as a tech jockey wants a ISV or a SMB to concentrate only on their product, right? For rest of their hosting, their security, we are there. So it is not only cloud. We are a IT solution partner for them. So from cloud computing to a small CRM software and everything in between, we are there to help a ISV or a SMB out. As we understand, this challenge is too big to solve alone. I mean, we do have got OEMs like Microsoft to help us out. So yes, as an MSP for Microsoft, we are there to help a SMB from their digitalization journey. To assist them on their hosting and their smooth running operations. And we've been on our Techjockey platform. We've been hosted more than 8,000 plus small and big ISVs. And the best part of Techjockey is they've been earning from our platform. So Techjockey is a B2C platform. So many ISVs and small and medium SMBs list their products here, and clients come to our platform and they can directly approach the ISVs and SMBs. This is what Techjockey has been doing for them.
All right, Ranjit. Aditee, what are the characteristics and differentiators of Azure that make it an attractive choice for an SMB or an ISV to choose Azure as their preferred cloud partner?
Everything I just said about the technical capabilities of cloud innovation and everything, all of that is what Azure really brings to the table. But I think if you have to remember a few things about Azure, there are really four things, right? One is that we're always going to be future ready. We're always going to be the cloud that innovates faster, and there is a reason for it, right? Microsoft is not just another cloud company. We've been in the platform business for over 40 years, right? And we understand that migration to the cloud is not a binary. It's not like you just take everything and dump to the cloud and you start thinking about whatever, right? If you have, let's say, Active Directory or SQL Server or whatever else you've used in your on-premise for so long, or even Linux or Oracle for that matter, whatever you've used on-prem has a seamless migration path to the cloud. And that is where the future ready aspect comes in, because you're going to be able to move and you're going to be able to innovate seamlessly. And that's super critical. That has been the fundamental tenet of our cloud platform. That is point one. The second point, which is really important, is that you get to build on your own terms, right? In the sense that Microsoft is not just a .NET company anymore. Or a Windows company anymore. You want to use Linux, you want to use Red Hat, you want to use Citrix, VMware, Java, Python, whatever you want. This is an all platforms, all languages, all technologies platform. And typically you shouldn't hesitate to say, hey, but I'm using this language, is it going to work or not? We are here with a set of people between Techjockey and Microsoft. We've got a whole army of technical people to help you make the right assessment and figure out the right architecture for the cloud when you start thinking cloud native, right? So that is the second point to think through. The third point to think through is, like I mentioned, this is not Microsoft is just not another cloud provider. Yes, we've got Azure, but we've also got the momentum with our security solutions, our modern workplace solutions, our Teams platform. And you should think about what is it that your business needs from a growth perspective. There are so many of our partners who've come to us and said that, look, we've invested in a particular cloud platform and we are not thinking of migrating right now, but we really want to leverage what is happening with Teams. Or our product is such that it will deeply embed into the business app platform or dynamic CRM. And we think we'll really be able to grow your business and our business together if we have the right kind of integration. And we're absolutely open to it. So, if you think that dynamic CRM is the right vehicle for you to expand your customer base, think of an integration with just that. If you think that the Power Platform using Power Connectors is the right way for you to leverage the whole data exchange market out there, work with us. Let's do that, and then we'll worry about the core cloud discussion at some other point in time. So don't think of us just as another cloud vendor. Think of Azure as or Microsoft as the support system you would need to grow your business in every direction, right? And the fourth thing, which is again, I'm sorry to harp on this, but trust and security and compliance and regulation is the fundamental pillar of everything that we do. When you work with Azure, you do not have to worry about security. You do not have to worry about regulatory compliances. You do not have to worry about customers asking you nasty questions about data leaks and information leaks and all of that. So we're sort of sorted there. So I think these four things are what you should keep in mind when you think about why Azure. And of course, behind these four things, the kind of compute that you get, the variety of compute that you get, certifications from players like VMware, Citrix, Red Hat, first-party services from OpenShift, from Azure VMware services, all of that comes as a package along with.
Great to hear, Aditee. So how is cloud helping companies in international expansion?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I forgot to mention this earlier, but see, one of the asks we've seen from most of our ISVs, particularly, is to figure out how to expand globally. And our leadership is absolutely aware of the fact that today, in a world where we cannot travel, if a global company like ours cannot help people expand globally, then what are we even doing? What are we even talking in the partnership, right? So first things first. One is we're really investing in our marketplace opportunities called the Azure Marketplace. The Azure Market called the Commercial Marketplace, sorry, and we're calling it Commercial Marketplace now because we're also integrating Teams, business applications, Azure, and every other component of our application platform into it. The commercial marketplace is meant to be able to is of course globally available, but more importantly, the seller incentive and the customer incentive for using applications from the marketplace is seamless. So you don't have to worry about internals like, oh, but US subsidiary and UK subsidiary and whatever. We're one company when it comes to commercial marketplace. And I think everyone should understand this very clearly, because that is a big lever for us.
Sure. So thanks, Aditee. I think we are at the top of the hour. Thanks a lot, Aditee and Ranjit, for sharing your perspectives. PayU is a leading online payment solution provider in India. In the SMB segment, we provide payment and payout solutions for all sizes of businesses, ranging from freelancers and home businesses to medium-sized businesses. Many of these businesses are going online for the first time, and PayU partners with these businesses to help them digitize every step of their journey, right from creating online websites to accepting payments, as well as things other than these for business enablement for SMBs in the current context. This cloud migration discussion was in the same context. Thanks a lot for sharing your perspectives on the business value of migrating cloud, and thanks everyone for hearing us out. We will now open for questions from the audience.
Thank you, Sudeep and Ranjit. This was a very interesting conversation.
Thanks, Aditee.
We are just waiting for the questions. We'll share it with you, Sudeep, the moment we get it.
Sure. While we wait, just to share, please do continue to follow this series of events on SMB Month. We are hosting this to support and empower SMBs, startups, and businesses that are involved with PayU or otherwise. There will be more sessions like this, which you can follow on the LinkedIn page.
Yeah, I think I must congratulate PayU. I think this is a great initiative, the whole SMB month, and specifically given that this is a sector that needs accelerated transformation, and whatever help they can get to keep their businesses afloat. I think this is a brilliant idea. Thanks for doing this.
Okay, I see one question from Ankush Sharma, and maybe Ranjit, you could first throw some light on this. Do you face any challenge due to presence of multiple cloud environments at the customer place?
So yeah, thanks Ankush for the question. Yes, sometimes we do face challenge, but yes, I mean we are blessed with a team. I mean who can get to know what customer requires and able to able to submit a desired solution for the same. This is what I can say about this.
Sure. Amar has an interesting question. SMBs find enterprise grade top public cloud providers expensive. What are your thoughts? I think if I remember from the conversation, Aditee, you were talking about reduced costs. So Aditee, would you like to answer this question?
Amar, thanks for the question. I think, first of all, you should remove the notion that cloud providers are enterprise grade only. I mean, yes, we are production quality, high quality enterprise grade, but not for enterprise customers alone. And in terms of price parity, I think, ultimately it boils down to what is the total cost of operations that you get while moving to the cloud. And if that is a concern, we're absolutely happy to work with you in arriving at the right TCO. And this I will speak for every cloud provider, because I don't think any cloud provider is more expensive than what you spend on your current infrastructure on-prem. I mean, to elaborate, since we don't have another question, if you just look at the options for VMs that we have in the market, right? You could have an extremely high compute VM that is very expensive to an extremely low grade A series that you don't have to spend any money on. So that is the range of operations that are available to you to choose from.
Absolutely. So Pralab has a question on challenges when it comes to migration from one instance to cloud. So Ranjit, would you like to take this up?
Sure. So, Pralab, it entirely depends on your solution provider, your partner, which you have chosen, right? So, we have done migrations from one VM to around about, a client having 1,000 plus VMs. So, it entirely depends upon the provider, solution provider, provider of yours, and uh, the architecture he has decided to go for the migration of your existing infra.
Let me elaborate that a little bit, Ranjit. Pralab, the thing to consider is that how much of proprietary or customized software are you using on the cloud provider? Because here's the thing, right? Every cloud provider will be able to give you the same output, except that the ways to get to that output might be different. So when we do migrations, we get to what we call as the architecture design session, where we look at the current architecture that has been built, whether it is on-prem or whether it is on another cloud, and we map that to what a typical Azure optimized architecture would look like, and then figure out the path for migration. So I wouldn't say it is absolutely seamless. Sometimes if you're using just a simple three-tiered architecture, it's a very easy move. But if there is complexity involved, then we will have to look at component-wise component. But I've never encountered any situation where the migration hasn't been possible.
So there's a question from Amar on, if you could share some sample SMB customer case studies. Ranjit, would you like to?
So Amar, it is there on Techjockey platform. I mean, we do have got some SMB case studies, or rather ISV case studies. On our SMB on our Techjockey portal. Plus, there are many case studies on Azure portal as well. You can always go through that.
Amar, I'll be happy to send out some of these case studies or connect with you separately to understand your requirement and make sure that you have the right information.
All right. I don't see too many questions beyond this. Maybe I think we could close.
Sudeep, there's one I think we just from Rakesh.
Yes. Okay, so Rakesh asks, moving to cloud is always good, but while migrating, if team faces any challenges with respect to troubleshooting, how easy is it to get support from the cloud provider? Does choosing cloud include the support cost as well, or only include how much service we use? Aditee, would you like to answer this from as your perspective?
And I will also ask Ranjit to chime in because a lot of this is also a partner play. So see, Microsoft never sells anything directly to customers, right? It is always via partners, and every partner that we engage as a so-called cloud solutions provider, or CSP as we call it, is required to take a back-to-back support contract with us. Right, so we have our own premier support which caters to our customers in critical needs, but that support ticket is always opened by the partner in question. So if Techjockey in this case, which will aid you in your technical solutioning, technical migrations, will have a back-to-back contract with us, and they will basically drive this whole support, etc., for you. Now, in the services that Techjockey provides to you, support is not really included because we are actually asking you to pay exactly for what you use. And if we sort of start bundling things in it, then it's not being true to what our promise of the cloud is. So there is always an option to pick cloud services as is at the price that the CSP is providing to you. And then, the CSP and you have the option to top it up with a support contract or whatever is appropriate for you. The only time this changes is when we have an enterprise agreement with our customers. This is typically for very large customers. We have an enterprise agreement, and during the process of the enterprise agreement, we have a back-to-back contract directly with our own support people if the customer chooses to. Even there, the option is for the customer to buy support from Microsoft or use cloud as is. Ranjit, would you like to add anything here from how you provide support?
Sure, Aditee. So, see, Rakesh, it entirely depends on your partner, right? So, support is one thing which, yes, Techjockey always provides free of cost. I mean, it is rather 24/7 managed support, which we do provide to our customers. Apart from support, free POCs is what we are, giving to our partners. Free POCs for up to $300, right? Then free migration we'll be doing for you if you choose us and Microsoft from your on-prem or your any other public cloud. Plus the most important thing is cost optimization. As one of my friend earlier had, picked up the question that cloud is always from on-prem to cloud always seems to be expensive, right? So yes, I mean, this is very important while choosing your cloud partner. This optimization, I mean, we do provide optimization for to our all the clients, right? I mean, what you are using, what you need to use, and as Aditee said, I mean, the beauty of cloud is you are paying what you are using, right? So for as Aditee earlier said that why you are choosing E-series machine when you can you can work with A-series machine, right? So I mean your partner should rather educate you what you need to use and what and what is beneficial for you. For your support thing, Techjockey always provides free of cost support and free of cost.
Okay, I think that was probably the last question. So thanks a lot, Aditee and Ranjit, for sharing your perspectives on this discussion forum. And thanks a lot, everyone, for hearing us out. Please do continue to follow this series of events on SMB Month. We are hosting this to support and empower SMBs, startups and businesses that are involved with PayU or otherwise. So please stay tuned and continue to follow.
Thanks,
We can
Sudeep.
end this now.
Thanks, Aditee. I mean, I've got a small surprise for our viewers. I must say that I'm okay to give first 100 viewers. I mean, who can come to me via support@techjockey.com. I mean, assistance and a free POC for about $300 for each and every client.
Awesome.
That sounds great.
Ranjit, please repeat that just so that everybody hears it clearly. It might really help.
I hope I was audible.
Ranjit, you were. If you could just repeat that, it'd be better because we lost you.
Yeah. So, all right, sure. So, I mean, for our first 100 clients, I mean, who can, just mail us on support@techjockey.com. I'm okay to give them free migration assistance plus free $300 POC on Azure. Yeah.
That sounds really exciting. I'm sure a lot of folks will send out that email and your mailbox will be bombarded.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ranjit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you, everyone. Manasa, if you could.
Thank you.
We can now end the session. Thank you so much, Aditee, Ranjit, and Sudeep. Thank you for making it such a successful conversation. We can exit, and I will now end the stream. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sudeep. Thank you, Mansa. Thank you, Aditee.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.